Hello. Today we have a unique fan. It's a Toastmaster McGraw-Edison. While not branded thin and light, it would very much remind you of a thin and light. And we're going to talk about why I think it might be really at the beginning of the thin and lights, or possibly before, or maybe it's just a Toastmaster Edison that was used only in commercial applications. But let me tell you about this thing. So predominantly I enjoy collecting McGraw-Edison or Toastmaster fans. I did a previous video of the Edison Comfort fan. You can watch that video. I'll stick it in the description. And I comment in that video how those are, and I give the backstory on why those are my favorite fans. And yes, I love Lakewood as well, and Lascos, of course. But I think a big part of all of us being collectors is there's that one fan or few fans that we tie back to our childhood, and we have sentimental value. So by some of these, it starts to date my age when I'm talking about Edison Comfort fans. So what I started doing a few years ago, there was a particular Toastmaster thin and light that I was looking for as when I was a kid. We had one, and it was the typical, you want to call it tan off-white, with the banana blades like this one. It had more like the tanner type banana blades. The metal grill on both sides. I know it's very popular for those fans that have the plastic grill on the front and just the metal on the back. So I also wonder if a sign of commercial application versus consumer application is the metal grills. I don't know, maybe somebody can tell me about that, because I'm still, while I consider myself really well versed on these fans, I still have questions and would like to learn a little bit more. And when I came across this one, I typically don't buy fans on eBay because they're very expensive. And even if you can find a good deal, this shipping is outrageous. And I am very fortunate that I have the means to be able to acquire these fans. But at the same time, it's practicality in terms of cost. And for me, it's not so much how they're worth and are they an investment? No, it's more of a hobby and it's cool. So what I tried to do is, after I found that fan, and I bought the one with the plastic front first, and I ultimately ended up, I think, finding 3 or 4 of those before I found at least one with the metal grill on both sides. However, along the way, I realized there were a number of variants of the thin and light. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to consider this one a thin and light because it's really the same cabinet kind of deal here. And I came across some different variants, and I snatched them up as soon as I could. This is one of them. I had never ever seen, again, for what it's worth, a thin and light with a green cabinet. And I'm going to show you the back in a moment, and the back looks different too. This is why I think it's older than the 80s, maybe late 70s thin and lights. Plus, it also, they could not call this a thin and light. Again, I don't think it is actually officially branded a thin and light because it's way heavier. Yet the cabinet is the same width, if you will, kind of even looks the same. So this was a variant that I picked up, and I'm going to do other videos on the other variants. For example, there's thin and lights that look just like the typical thin and light with the banana blades, but with the dark translucent blades. Didn't know that one existed. So and that's kind of a fun one too, because it's almost like a blend between the comfort fan and a traditional thin and light. So as I do these videos on these fans, if somebody knows, for example, when we did the Edison Comfort fan, I know there's different variants, which I own most of them, and I think I stated on that video there are at least two, maybe just one that I don't own, the Infinite Speed, and then one with the Venturi ring. But I own every variation of the different color grills, where the badge is located, or if there is a badge, all of those. So if anyone knows anything, one, about this and how and where it was used and what it was sold for, where it was sold, that would be very interesting to know and to share. So in the comments, that would be really, really cool. The thing to point out about this is it is in phenomenal shape. I did next to nothing. I mean, there's a little tiny, you probably can't pick it up on the camera, a little tiny surface that I could clean up. But it's really in awesome shape, and I have not had the motor apart. Clearly somebody did, because this, I believe, is not original. So somebody did take this apart at some point and service it. What I also find is really interesting is there seems to be a screw or whatnot in the center, which if you know these fans well enough, there was always a hollow spot there, and I just thought it was a hollow spot in the plastic, and then the shaft, if you will, would be on the other side or going right through that. So let me show you the top, because there's some information up here. Okay, so as you can see, the cabinet's green, still has the original handle. I can't tell if this is faded yellow. It probably is. If I took it off and looked underneath, maybe I could see if it was whiter. But so it just says Toastmaster Division, McGraw-Edison, Boonville, Missouri, and it even has a zip code, which is pretty neat. Toastmaster, UL listed fan, model. Here you go, guys. You can help me decode. Model 7327, it looks like. 115 volts, 60 watts, 2.6 amps. So 7327. If somebody could help me with that, awesome. Really awesome if you could. So you can see if we just turn it to the side, you get a sense that this is the exact same cabinet of a thin and light. Really the same thing. In fact, there's some wax on here because I think I did polish it at some point. And then here's the part I wanted to talk about. So let's lift it up first. Metal feet, which the normal thin and lights have plastic. Here's what makes this thing, excuse my language, badass, is look how that is mounted into the grill. We all know about the Edison thin and lights, the comfort fans, whatever, the Toastmasters that have your typical 2 bars, one up here, one down here, but this has that metal plate. I own another fan that's kind of the, I would say, the predecessor to the comfort fan that is like this with metal blades, and we'll do a video on that one as well. What I find really, really cool about this is this green. If the camera picks it up, I don't know, but the grill matches the cabinet in color. Really cool, and it's a cool green because you don't really see it that often, whether you like green, you don't like green. It just, to me, it's out of character for Toastmaster Edison to do a green fan when they're typically, you know, that off-white, the faux wood, whatever they were. Even some of the tan, like when you start getting into more like the Toastmaster, like later in the, kind of into the 90s, early 90s. So some people think this is ugly. I think it looks tough. I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool. It is really neat to me. And you can see typical, you know, where the plug comes out. And this is a thicker insulated cord compared to your typical, like if I were to pop one of the normal thin and lights in here, this cord is way thicker. Is it possible, because this is like kind of like almost like a thick stopper or something like that, that this was rewired at one point? Very possible. Like this, it's possible this is not the original cord. Again, if somebody could tell me, somebody has one like this, that would be interesting to know. But if my hunch is right, and this was designed more for commercial application, with the kind of just the beefier cabinet, even though it looks the same, but it's just, this thing is heavy. And I don't know what is weighing it down. And what I should do is take a regular thin and light, weigh it compared to this one. That would be kind of an interesting experiment. Typical, you know, Edison, where it has a little clip here to hold the wiring information, the wiring for the switch. And let's turn it on. So this thing, I'm going to turn it on. I'm trying to think. If I turn it on facing the camera, it's going to kind of blow you away. But we'll turn it on first like this. Switch. And what I dig about these Edison's, Toastmasters, is I always felt, even on these thin lights, that the motor was just oversized for the fan. Right? I don't know, and you guys can tell me, there's kind of like a hum. Not sure totally what's going on, if that's just how this thing sounds or what, but certainly a health check from you guys would be really cool as well. And this is where it sounds like this thing is going to go into orbit. It is loud, it is powerful, it is mean. Hence we call it the green machine, or the mean green machine around here. But a fan that's probably 40, 50 years old, the sound is strong, it's just awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to turn it off, and we'll watch it spin down, then I'll turn it around so you can see it running the other way. So this is a 2-speed. We know thin and lights tend to be 2 speeds. But I do think this fan was opened up at one point. I just don't know when or how long ago. So pretty good spin down. It's not like some of your Lakewoods that will like spin around for days or spin down for days, but still really good. And not like some of your, definitely not like your newer Lascos that stiffen up pretty quick. So, all right, we're gonna do the same thing on this side. I did it that side first so you can hear me speaking. I won't speak because you'll probably get a ton of wind noise. So let's let it rip again. Start with low. I mean, it's just a powerful fan. So that last speed, the first one I just did, was actually low, and this is now high, which is unbelievable. I feel the low on this fan is just as powerful as many fans that are on high. This is a mean machine. So I was speaking while the fan was running, and I have no idea if you heard me over the wind noise, but I think this fan is really cool. I rarely use it because I feel like it is also very rare. You know, there's not like a huge market or anything probably for thin and lights, like you see them out there, but to me, to have one in my collection that looks like this as a variation to the other thin and lights, your run-of-the-mill thin and lights. And I would say when it comes to Lakewoods, you see Lakewoods running around, floating around way more than you do thin and lights. But thin and lights are still out there, and whenever I see one on eBay, it's just tempting. But I just think I have more of the same, and it's expensive, so I don't do it. That's actually the deterrent. If it was at a yard sale or something, or a Goodwill store, I'm sure that would be a different case altogether. But let me know what you guys think about this one. It's, you know, for all intents and purposes, it's the Mean Green Machine. You know, the Mean Green Machine Toastmaster Thin and Light, or maybe it's thin and not so light. I don't know. But maybe what we'll do at one of these times is I will get a meter. I will get your traditional thin and light, and this one we'll do a comparison. That would be interesting. And I think also interesting would be to check the weight, to compare the weight to a regular thin and light, and to compare the weight to this to a typical comfort fan. Now again, this is probably a generation before those, so this might be more 70s than 80s. Anything you can tell me would be awesome. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you like. There will be plenty more fan videos, so if you like this one, there'll be a lot more coming on the box fans. Thanks for watching.